Italy, I mean, just say the name, right? What comes to mind?
Amazing art.
Yeah, like instantly. Roman sculptures, Renaissance paintings, all that stuff. And you know what? As of this year, 2025, they have a crazy number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
How many?
58.
Wow.
It's the most of any country, but think about it. With all those artistic treasures comes this whole legal world, right? How do you protect them? Especially with intellectual property and all the new tech stuff happening.
Yeah, it gets complicated fast. That's why we're doing this deep dive today, looking at Italian art law. It's really interesting.
Totally. Because it's not just about like basic copyright. It's how Italy, with its like super deep cultural history, thinks about art and the law. And we're going to break it down for anyone listening. Artists, art lovers, anyone curious about how it all works.
It affects everyone.
Exactly. So we've got three main areas we're going to explore. First, how Italy regulates, making copies of these cultural treasures.
Right.
Then we'll jump into AI-generated art and the whole who's the author question.
That's a big one.
Huge. And last but not least, we're going to look at how Italy protects something called moral rights of artists. Really strong emphasis on that.
Very unique.
So those three things, I think, really show you how Italy tries to balance its artistic heritage with the modern world. So let's start with this reproduction thing, copying cultural property.
Okay, so this is where things get interesting. Italy doesn't just follow typical copyright rules. There's this whole other layer because of how they view certain artworks. Like, they're part of the national heritage,
Right. So like normal copyright, the artist dies. There's a certain amount of time where you need permission to copy their work for commercial use.
Right, that's natural.
But then even after that copyright time is up, if the work is considered like a cultural treasure under Italy's law, you still might need permission to, make copies for commercial use.
Exactly. They have a specific law called the Code of Cultural Heritage and Landscape. Basically lays out what they consider their national treasures,
Gotcha. So even if an artist has been dead for ages and their work is totally public domain in other countries, if it's a big deal Italian artwork.
You can't just go around making T-shirts with it, for example.
Exactly. You might need the government's okay, and you might even have to pay them.
Yeah, like the Ministry of Culture or the local authorities where the work is.
Seriously.
Seriously. It's about protecting and managing this incredibly valuable heritage.
Yeah.
They want to make sure it's used respectfully and maybe even use the fees to help preserve it.
That makes sense, I guess.
It does, but it can also be a bit of a barrier, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially for like small educational projects or nonprofits. It's this constant tension in Italy, protecting things versus making them accessible.
Interesting point. You mentioned Michelangelo's David earlier. That's at the Galleria d'Accademia in Florence, right? One of the most famous sculptures in the world.
Exactly.
So how does this all apply to something like that?
Okay, so copyright on the David itself, like the actual sculpture, expired ages ago, centuries. But if someone wanted to, say, take super high-res photos of it and sell them commercially, they'd likely need permission from the Galleria dell'Accademia and maybe even the Ministry of Culture, and they'd probably have to pay a fee.
Wow. So even that, something so iconic, is subject to this whole process.
It really shows you how Italy sees these treasures, They need constant care, even beyond normal copyright terms.
Okay, it makes sense. It's just different from what we're used to, thinking about copyright. All right, so let's switch gears. AI-generated art, this is such a hot topic right now.
It's blowing up, legally speaking.
Totally, because, if a computer can create art, what does that even mean for authorship?
Yeah, it throws everything out the window. Traditionally, in Europe and Italy too, copyright law has always been about human creation. The EU Copyright Directive, it's from 2019, it even says authors have to be natural persons, meaning like humans.
Okay, so if an algorithm, a computer program, makes some digital art, and no human really did anything besides, like, setting it up in the beginning.
It gets tricky.
Super tricky. Can a computer be an author?
Right now, Italy doesn't have any laws specifically for that situation. Art made entirely by AI.
Yeah.
But there was this interesting court case, Supreme Court, in 2023.
Oh, yeah?
It involved a digital artwork made with software used for stage scenery in this singing competition without permission.
Okay.
So it wasn't like AI made the whole thing from nothing, but it was about protecting something digitally created.
Gotcha. So not purely AI, but still kind of in that realm. What did the court decide?
They said, yes, this digital artwork deserves copyright protection. But their reasoning was important. They focused on the idea of a creative act happening. And this is key. There had to be an authorial personality behind the work, like a human making choices, expressing themselves.
So that human element was crucial.
It was everything.
So if we apply that logic to something made entirely by AI with no human really guiding it, it sounds like?
It wouldn't be protected under Italian copyright.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the Italian system really wants that creative act to come from a human. And this actually lines up with how other countries are thinking, like the US and China. Human authorship is key for copyright.
Makes sense. But what if, like, a human gives the AI really specific instructions, almost like directing it?
Oh, that's where it gets even more complicated.
I was going to say, because then is it the human expressing themselves through the AI?
That's the big question. How much human input does it take? The law is playing catch-up with technology here. It's exciting.
It's almost like we're having to redefine what creativity and ownership mean because of AI.
Exactly.
Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about moral rights.
This is where Italy gets really interesting.
Right. So moral rights, it's not just about who can make copies and sell stuff.
No, it's deeper. It's about protecting the artist's connection to their work, their name, their reputation, the artwork itself. It's about their artistic soul, almost.
And Italy's really serious about this, right?
Super serious. They give artists what are called perpetual moral rights.
Perpetual.
Meaning they last forever.
Wow.
Even if, like, the regular copyright runs out or gets sold to someone else, the artist still has the right to be known as the creator. And they can say no to any changes that might hurt their reputation or the work itself.
That's a powerful statement.
It is.
So this right to integrity you mentioned, what does that look like in real life?
It means the artist can stop someone from changing their work if it twists the meaning or makes them look bad. And this right doesn't die with the artist. In some cases, their family can enforce it too.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, imagine someone buys a painting. Years later, they decide to, I don't know, repaint parts of it, add their own stuff. Even though they own the painting, the artist or their family could say, nope, you can't do that.
Because it messes with the original vision.
Exactly. It's about respect.
Yeah.
But of course, with the digital world, things get tricky.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everything's copied so easily. Changed, shared online, you've got NFTs and all that.
It's a nightmare to keep track of. Like, how do you even stop someone from messing with a digital artwork and hurting the artist's reputation?
Right, right.
If it's an NFT, someone could make unauthorized copies or use it in ways the artist never intended. And then you've got different countries, different laws. It's a mess.
So this is where it gets kind of controversial, right? Like, could an artist stop their work from being used in, say, an ad for a product they hate, even if they don't technically own the copyright anymore?
That's the gray area. Moral rights are about protecting the work and the artist's reputation, but where's the line? It can get blurry. And historically, there have been cases where artists push those boundaries.
You mentioned some examples earlier, like Lucio Fontana pulling his work from the Venice Biennale in 1966, Maurizio Cattelan doing the same thing in 97 with his sculpture, and then more recently, Nanni Ballestrini's archive wanting his work removed from a show in Rome.
Yeah, those weren't about someone vandalizing a painting. It was more about the context, the message.
Right. Makes you think about how far these moral rights extend.
It's not just about physical changes. It's about the artist's vision, their intent. And Italy takes that seriously.
So, big picture, what are the main things we should take away from all this deep dive into Italian art law?
Okay, so first, Italy has a very specific way of handling its cultural heritage. More protection than you might expect. Second, AI-generated art is making everyone rethink what authorship even means. And Italy's leaning towards humans being the source of creativity for copyright.
Right.
And third, moral rights are huge in Italy. The artist's connection to their work is protected, even as technology changes and time passes.
It's like they're trying to find this balance, protect their heritage, embrace new tech, but always respect the artist.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a lot to think about. Like, how will all this play out in the future? How do we protect art, make it accessible, but also uphold the rights of the artists?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a lot to consider.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.